Yeah. Yeah, I know. You should, yeah. Or you could add different types of characters and things like that. So, yeah, yeah. Every time you kill a terrorist, you create 5 more. Social commentary. That's because they're firing out, because I changed it before. They're... Yeah. Bye, bye. So, I'll change it so they attack directly. There you go. All right. Any other questions or comments or anything like that?
I have one that's actually a bit more about the embed.
Yeah, sure. Is this file or AGI Studio? Yes. So there is a series of files. There's one per disk, because this is back in the floppy disk days. They're called volume files, and you would have a. It's been a very long time since I looked at this. Yeah, the vol.0 and vol.1 and vol.2, those files there, they contain the actual game resources.
So you know that through the
Yep. I think bit by bit. This was 13 years ago that I wrote it. I suspect it was probably bit by bit, yeah. Oh, okay. What is it? Is it? Okay. Is that for a game engine that you're writing yourself? Right. Yep. Yep. The source code for that is publicly available. If you just Google AGI Studio, you'll be able to get it. Some other people took the code and added a few extensions onto that. It is really not a pretty piece of code. This was like first year uni. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry. No, well, AGI, actually, for those who came in late, I'll just bring it up and show you. So AGI Studio was written for Windows. It was written in Delphi, but if you want to see the wrong way to write a compiler, have a look at the code for that. It's a pretty good guideline. Because I did that before I learned all the stuff I was talking to you about before, about syntax trees and formal grammars and all that. I didn't know about it. I didn't even know about trees when I wrote it. Alright, so, yeah, it wasn't pretty. But if you Google AGI Studio, you'll be able to find the code for it. And ScumVM, which I was showing you before, that will also run AGI games. So ScumVM now has multiple game interpreters embedded in it. Any other questions? Really fast. Yeah, it's like you won't even notice it. How fast is what? Python? Yeah. Right, okay. Python is actually, I can tell you exactly. In my PhD project, I wrote a virtual machine and I benchmarked it against a number of programming languages, including Python. And I can give you some fairly accurate comparisons here. Okay, so creating a binary tree, Python took 54 seconds, C took 6 seconds. This is for creating a binary tree with 4 million objects in it. Mandelbrot set generator, Python took 83 seconds, C took half a second. So it's a lot slower. So that's why you only use it for lightweight scripting. You could actually write your whole game in Python if you wanted to. It is possible. Sorry?
Is that why you use it compiled scripting languages
Theoretically it's possible. I mean, the programming language I created in my PhD project was initially an interpreter, and then I created a just-in-time compiler for it. The main costs are not so much compilation. Well, that's part of the cost of the fact that something's interpreted, but it's also the dynamic nature of it. So in Python, you don't have static typing of variables. So if you've got x plus y, you don't know whether they're going to be integers until actual runtime. Because you could run that line of code twice, and one time they could be integers, another time they could be doubles, another time they could be strings, right? So in a compiled language, you would have static typing, and the compiler would know that what type those variables are, and it would be able to generate the assembly language instructions which just do the addition, right? But even if you were to compile Python, you would still have to have code to check what the type is, and that's going to slow it down significantly. JavaScript interpreters have actually come a long way in the last 2 or 3 years. Chrome was the first. I think Chrome was the first browser to do just-in-time compilation of JavaScript, and the other major browsers do it now, except IE. But I suspect that's probably going to be in IE 9. And they actually use some very, very clever techniques to analyse the code and figure out, even though they don't know statically that it's an integer, if they can look at all the cases where that code is used and can tell that it's always passed an integer, then they compile it as an integer. Sorry? Yes, but that is extremely tricky to do reliably. And they have made some big strides, but they're still, scripting languages are still slower than compiled languages, and I suspect always will be, because of their dynamic nature. For those who came in late, I'll just show you, this is what I wrote in when I was in first year uni. It's basically a, let me bring up the game, a development tool that you can modify games written for AGI, which was a adventure game engine made by Sierra in the 1980s. So basically you could, myself and some other people worked out how the engine worked, and we reverse engineered the bytecode format for the logic files. And then I wrote this development tool for it. So when you open the game, it actually decompiles the scripts, and you can see all the logic there, and you can make changes to it, and then recompile and modify the game. And so people could sort of make their own games using the AGI engine and so forth. But that was sort of my first sort of real introduction to scripting. Well, not the first. There was the other thing that I showed you before. Sorry?
I was just thinking that.
Drink water. Oh, when you fall into the water. There you go. And then the alligators. But if we wanted to make this game a little bit safer,